the cult of personality.
Volunteer healthcare workers were coming in there to take care of them. Didn't we do that? We mobilized the movement for housing. The federal government finally got involved in the so-called homeless issue because of this party. Because this party began to take property before there was a so-called, what they call this thing now? What they call this movement now about taking houses and stuff? Some kind of occupation movement. We did this. We made it necessary. We exposed Angela Davis as a cowardly part of the imperialist movement back then. We put a measure on the ballot in Oakland, California, calling for land reform that every reactionary in the area was opposed to. That would have turned the land in the communities over to the people. That restricted the amount of money that these slumlords could take from the people. In a city where in East Oakland, more than 80% of the commercial rental property was owned by white people who didn't live there, and more than 50% of the residential rental property was owned by white people who didn't live there. We did that. And not only did the Democratic Party and the Republican Party come out against us, the Negro preachers, even a dead preacher was against us, the Negro Police Department, police organization, the Communist Party USA came out against us because they owned some of that property that was in that city. And they were protecting their own interests from the masses of African people. But this is the heroic party. When you people talk about, young people think they discover something, they're talking about Pac and Tupac. Where did Tupac rehearse when he was over in Oakland, before he was Tupac? And they were Digital Underground. Where did they come to rehearse? The Uhuru House, right there, 7911 MacArthur Boulevard. That's where they came to. This is the African People's Socialist Party. We fought every struggle. We took on this whole issue of racism and white people. We were condemned by so many Negro militants because we had this relationship with the white people. Everybody got a relationship to white people. We just define ours and say what it is and then use it to advance the revolutionary interests of Africans and the peoples of the world. Here's somebody condemning our relationship with white people, and then as soon as I get off the job with the white man, I'll come over and see what I can do for you. And don't apologize for it, because we understand the issue of race and racism. And we are involved in national liberation. We want to liberate the African nation. And we want to do this under the leadership of African workers so that we can create a new world, so that racism and things like that won't be a factor. But we understand that the condition for making this happen is the emancipation and unification of African people worldwide, the national liberation of African people. Then, when you do that, you have created the condition for the withering away of nations themselves. Because the modern nation, as we know it, came into existence as a consequence of the rise of capitalism itself. And Europe defining itself in relationship to every damn body else. We're going to destroy that. So it's a new world on the horizon. Imperialism is dying. The African nation is struggling to rise. And what I love about it is nobody's paying attention to us. When you look at what's happening, this is what the ideology, the imperialist ideology does. You see? I went to prison for taking a mural down, an 8-by-4-foot mural in the city hall of St. Petersburg. Went and snatched it down, they put me in prison. But before we snatched it down, because it was a mural that depicted Africans in horrible kinds of ways, it's symbolic of a lot of nasty stuff. Before we tore it down, we had contemplated, we said, look, one way we can take the mural down is we can put on some coveralls, some overalls, and put a rag in our pocket, right, and get some ladders and walk in there while it right broad daylight. Just walk in there and then just take it down and walk out with it. That's what we said we'd do. Because nobody would have paid attention. It would have been nobody, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's how everybody's looking at African people today. See? Their own ideology has trapped them into underestimating who we are and what we are going to do to change the world. So Obama puts forth the strategic view today, and I don't care what he said, they can't afford that military no more. So they're talking about cutting it by 100,000, a couple of 100,000 people out of the military. Say we're gonna get small and more flexible. Yeah, that's what you do when you can't pay the light bill. You understand? You use candles instead, right? And so they say we're going to become small and more flexible. But they said that their military, they're going to pay most of their military attention to what areas in the world? Remember what they said? Asia, the Pacific area, because they see China. And they're contending with China and Africa, and they're contending with China and Asia and all these other places. They're contending with China and New York. And they say in the greater Middle East is what they want to concern on. They got to pay attention to the greater Middle East as they characterize it. Anybody talking about Africa? Because they don't expect to have to fight us. But we are growing all over the African world. They aren't talking about even the U.S. Because if the only movement they got is Occupy Wall Street, they don't have to worry about anything. Because Occupy Wall Street, no program, just show up and stay there. Oh, no. No demands. We got some demands, buddy. You understand? And they go back a long way, too. You understand? And the issue now is organization and taking revolutionary theory and science into the action of the most masses. Thousands of people, literally 2,000 people on one day came out in Paris, France, in a demonstration around the Congo issue. No leadership at all. No organization except us. Thousands of people in Belgium, in Brussels. Thousands of people in the United Kingdom. No organization. No leadership at all except us. Our banners, our slogans, our chants. Because we've been here for 40 goddamn years. You understand? 40 years we've been here.